A traveling tradesman spots a noble lady sitting alone on a bench, enjoying a sandwich, and it looks really tasty, so he approaches her and asks if she'd let him try some. The lady readily agrees since she's always happy to share her meals with others, so she reaches into her picnic basket and makes the man a sandwich. When he tries it, he is delighted by how delicious it tastes, so he asks the lady if she'd share the recipe with him. However, he probably should have asked that before he ate it because the girl informs him that the sandwich had blackhorn wolf meat in there. The tradesman awkwardly excuses himself and throws up next to a tree because he never could have anticipated that she'd give him a monster meat sandwich. Blackhorns are notorious for their poisonous flesh, so he thinks the lady must be insane to be eating it so casually, but while she may be weird, she's not stupid. She went through a lot of effort to process the meat so it would be safe enough to eat, but so far, no one has been open-minded enough to give her food a fair chance. A few days later, Melf is attending a banquet and she can't get enough of the wide variety of meat she gets to stuff her face with. Everything here is both delicious and well presented, so she's having trouble deciding what to eat next. But before she could wander off on her own, Mrs. Talbot walks over and reminds her that she's not here for the food. The autumn banquet is an excuse for all the nobles in the land to gather and associate with one another for political reasons, so in plain terms, Melf is here to find a different kind of meat. She didn't actually want to come since she knew she'd be bored out of her mind, but her stepmom threatened to send her to a monastery and have her become a monk if she didn't get engaged by the end of the year, so she had no choice. Her dad wasn't as pushy about it, but he did still ask her to find someone soon, which is why she agreed to attend this event. But things aren't going well for her since all the nobles here recognize her as the monster meat muncher, and they don't want to get involved with her. She decides to head to a different section of the party where most of the knights have gathered, and she plans to find a knight who hasn't heard the rumors about her and convince him to get married to her before he finds out about her little hobby. But before she could actually talk to anyone, a huge commotion breaks out as several nobles scream that monsters are attacking the banquet. Can't say it's surprising since this was bound to happen when you hold a banquet with tons of food in the middle of the forest, but that's not the point right now. Melf starts running away along with the rest of the nobles as the knights charge forward to confront the monster, but then she notices an old couple nearby who seem to be having some trouble. She goes over to ask them if everything is alright, but while the couple isn't hurt, the man's walking stick just broke, so he can't get up on his own anymore. Melf offers to help him stand so they can all get out of here, and they are grateful for her assistance, but just then their eyes go wide because there's something huge behind Melf. She turns around and is shocked to see a wild blackhorn standing right there. There's still enough time for her to run without the monster noticing her, but if she did that, then the old couple would be left in harm's way. So instead, she starts shouting to get the monster's attention and bait it into following her away from the old-timers. She's glad that she managed to save them, but there's no way she can outrun it, so this might really be the end for her. However, just as she was about to be trampled, a lone knight dashes forward and beheads the blackhorn in one swift motion. His name is Roger Galbraith, and he is well known as the Blood-Mad Duke because of how ruthless he is when it comes to battles. And the people here really seem to enjoy gossiping because Roger just saved all their lives, but they're too busy murmuring about how terrifying he is to thank him like normal people. Melf falls silent at the realization that the man before her right now is the famous blood-crazed Duke, and she's not sure if the rumors about him being a blood-crazed serial killer are true or not, but that doesn't matter to her right now because Roger is way too hot for her to care. She gets up and introduces herself to him, which comes as a surprise to Roger since most women would have run away from him by now in a situation like this. Just then, Melf notices some of the blackhorn blood dripping towards Roger's mouth, and she frantically asks him to wipe it off before he accidentally ingests it, because the blood of a corrupted blackhorn is incredibly toxic to people. And even if it wasn't corrupted, she knows from personal experience that ingesting the raw blood of a beast will give you severe diarrhea. Roger doesn't know what to say at this point since he has never met a girl who knows so much about monsters, and Melf soon realizes that she might have freaked him out by talking too much. Roger appreciates Melf's concern, but he already has some holy water ready to deal with any potential blood poisoning. He even offers some to Melf since even though she probably didn't swallow any blood, it never hurts to be safe. Roger then notices that her dress is covered in blood, so he offers to take her somewhere so she can get a replacement, but while Melf appreciates the gesture, she tells him that it won't be necessary. Monster blood washes out really easily with a little warm water and baking soda, so her dress isn't ruined or anything. But that's not what Roger was referring to. Most nobles are disgusted by the mere thought of wearing clothes tainted by monster blood, so he wonders why it doesn't seem to bother her. Without thinking, Melf blurts out that she butchers monsters all the time, so she's used to getting covered in blood every now and then. Roger is shocked to learn that Melf butchers monsters, and she realizes she has said way too much, so she apologizes for it. But instead of being disgusted by her, Roger bursts out in laughter because he recalls hearing rumors about Melf eating monsters, and he can't believe it's actually true. Monsters in this world are very different when compared to regular animals. Due to the magical energy that their bodies contain, consuming monster meat typically causes vomiting and fevers, so it is generally discarded, but Melf always thought that was wasteful. There's no point in hiding it now, so she admits that the rumors are indeed true, and that when she looks at that corpse over there, the only thing she can think about is how tasty the meat would be. But she realizes saying it out loud makes it sound even worse. By this point, she expects Roger to awkwardly shuffle away any minute, so she puts on her best. I don't know what to do anymore, smile and waits to see what he does. But as it turns out, Roger is actually enchanted by the lovely smile on Melf's blood-covered face. So much so that he can barely look her in the eyes, so instead he grabs her hand and starts leading her away from the party. After a while, Roger realizes he should probably say something so things don't get awkward, so he asks Melf if the monster meat actually tastes good. This isn't the first time someone has asked Melf this question, but it usually doesn't end well when she gives an honest answer. She tells Roger that blackhorn meat actually tastes a lot like beef, but while most would sneer and disregard her opinion as crazy talk, Roger actually seems to be taking her seriously, and that's a first for her, so she's really happy. She goes on to explain that the key to making the meat safe to eat is getting rid of all the magic in it, and she says that's easy enough to do during the bleeding process, so Roger asks her if she'd be willing to make some for him. Melf says she'd be more than happy to do so, but she does warn him that meat from mad beasts like the one he killed today tends to be a little rough on the stomach even with proper preparation, so he's going to have to wait until she can get her hands on some non-corrupted meat. Roger says he's looking forward to it, but in the meantime, he still wants to get Melf a new dress to change into, so he leads her back to his trute's pavilion. Roger's subordinate, Chaos, comes out to greet him upon his arrival, and after Melf introduces herself, he is instructed to get her a new dress to change into. In the meantime, Roger takes her to one of the tents and prepares a little bath of hot water so she can wash the blood off her face. Melf insists that there's no need for him to go so much trouble for her sake, especially when there's way more monster blood on him than there is on her. She tells Roger he should prioritize cleaning himself first, but that was always the plan, and he has already started taking his shirt off. He doesn't see anything wrong with it since he does it all the time, but Melf, on the other hand, is getting extremely flustered. She'd have seen knights take their shirts off during training sessions before, but it still spikes her heart rate every time it happens. Roger asks her if something is wrong, and Melf doesn't want to lie, so she admits that she was admiring his incredible physique. Roger has never really put much thought into what his body looks like, but he does train often to be able to fight monsters regularly, so it's natural that he be muscular. Melf thought he looked cool when he beheaded the Blackhorn, so she asks him if she'd be able to learn how to do that as well. Roger says anyone can learn to do what he did, but in Melf's case, her arms aren't conditioned for it, so she'd be better off leaving the fighting to him. He asks her if there's any particular monster she'd like to try since he'd be willing to hunt it down for her. And as soon as he says this, Melf's eyes light up because there are so many things she has been dying to taste. But just then, Chaos returns and lightly scolds Roger because he thinks it is inappropriate for him to be half naked in front of a young lady like this. Roger argues that he only took off his shirt so he's not completely exposed, but either way, it's still not appropriate. A little while later, Melf is changed into the dress Chaos prepared for her, and she absolutely loves the design on it. Roger says he borrowed that dress from the queen a while ago, and he thinks it looks really good on her. But the entire time he has been holding the head of the Blackhorn, and all his men are shocked that Melf doesn't seem to mind. Most ladies would have fainted if Roger came anywhere near them with that thing, so they are all happy that he finally found someone he gets along with. Later that evening, it's time for Melf to return home, so Roger escorts her back to her carriage. She thanks him once again for saving her life and says goodbye. He tells her that the next time they meet, he will have a special present ready for her, and she says she can't wait, but if he's going to be bringing a monster for her, she requests that he capture it alive because the meat would taste better that way. Roger has never tried capturing a monster alive before, but he's up for the challenge. However, that might take a while, so in the meantime, Melf offers Roger some Skatspit monster jerky she made, and she assures him that she was very thorough with the preparation process, so there's no risk of him getting sick from it. If Melf is the one who made it, Roger trusts that it'll be safe, so he takes a bite without hesitation, and he is pleasantly surprised by how delicious it actually is. Chaos yells at Roger because it's reckless for someone of his authority to eat food without having it tested for poison first, but Roger says it's fine and sticks a piece of the meat in Chaos's mouth to show him how good it tastes. They both agree that it's delicious, and Roger tells Melf that he can't wait to see what else she can make the next time they meet, but all of a sudden she ducks her head down. She was brought to tears by the fact that someone finally recognizes her hobby, and doesn't think she's weird for eating monster meat. She pulls herself together so she can say her last goodbye to Roger, but she can hardly wait to meet him again. This was the end of episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part.
Take you